where he's comfortable.
다시 줘라. 근데 다 도마라다. 대행 이동이 짝짝로. 된 로사바. 된 집아색 말이야. 대인데 된 사말라. 그저 대탕 사월 남주. 되네. 류게 대와. 되네 샘나 십대. 된 된다 영리가 되네. 다시 모나식에 인스.
So today is the first day of the new year, 2021. So it's New Year's Day, and first I would like to extend my prayers for you that you will experience physical well-being, good health, and that all your activities will turn out well, and that you will experience peace and happiness in your mind. So first I would like to offer some prayers of auspiciousness.
Tene tateng jajanang shubate tene mangyoste da Rinpoche Lama injuries. Tene Rinpoche Lama insan tene nga pachir ngoshi juri. Tene ta Rinpoche lende ta lo mangpo pachir lo sumchusa ta tenra wachi Rinpoche nyamta song yuri. Tene 당하게 주변에 다 제시시요 말이 tene 다 정성 값서 당보 로단 로 값서 tene 제조로 주거 로정 때문에 제요 말이 된산에 tene 다 잡았세 사드 tene 공판한데 tene 다 주거 배친다고 대체요 말도 다 소관 소야단 참참이야. 되네. 변비 동선. 되네 또 맞으는데 다 대연으로 다 된다거나 같이 메시지. 지데바리스.
So everyone who is following on the live stream, most of you probably are Garchen Rinpoche's disciples. And therefore we all probably know one another, we know each other. So I've been together with Rinpoche for many years, maybe around 30 years. Maybe I don't know how to share stories so well, but just a brief account where I really came from. So when I was very young, first I was going to school, but there was not really any learning about the Dharma at that time. And then early on I became a monk and entered the monastery, and then I just stayed at the monastery and learned there, but not really studying the scriptures, mostly doing pujas, retreats, and learning the cham dancing and the various ritualistic activities such as dorma making and so forth. So this is how I've spent my life there.
Tene da Rinpoche ke da chizogulo yongdin da wo xie go na tene nga ke xie an da maris karis na tene Rinpoche yongdin tong go na tangbo rang la tene sunam tene rang la yongdin xirab da tenda che yogo ke yoris tene Rinpoche che yongdin Rinpoche zena da je chebar don pokpa dambe jebe jere ba de meng to zan ma yin ba gum cheng mang bu la lo ju yu ba tene ngoro Rinpoche ka long sin de do jin ren ze ge zba yin ba da den da wo tene pa je Rinpoche ka lo ni nan mu yin nan de na ha ko ro ba de dambe jebe she la nga thamar ba kan den da je mari zo ne ne che zo gon zo hi mari ba 동바 좀 된다가 간사 그 맥성도 하고 그 말이스 간사 가 하고 그 말이스 데데네 그렇반데야 요 말이스 lokdajiya 요 말이스 데네 송 요로
So actually I don't really know how to speak about Rinpoche's qualities because in order to see the qualities that Garchen Rinpoche possesses, and that actually would require, that ability would require one to actually possess a lot of merit and a lot of great qualities themselves and a lot of wisdom. And because Garchen Rinpoche is really a very special holy being, and it's not because he has a famous name, but there are many stories about him already from his previous incarnations, and also actually Guru Rinpoche himself gave a prophecy about him so that he would appear as an emanation of Chenrezig. And probably you've heard about that if you have watched Garchen Rinpoche's, the movie on Rinpoche's life. So since I'm an ordinary person, it's hard for me to just speak in this, decisive way, saying this is how it is and this is not how it is, because also the Buddha himself had said that a normal person cannot really judge another person, cannot really know who they are. So for this reason, we shouldn't humiliate other people because we don't know who they really are, and also not judge them by their appearance.
네 당가름 보치 랑은도나 네 라마벤나 라마 파마벤나 파마 제렌도다 가다 쟁지 파마 페진하니 차다 요로 네 깝깝니 공르강을 가지고 돈 거리 깝깝니 나가 판 초반 자가 요리 네 가다 장데 제조글로 내가
And so from my own personal perspective, Garchen Rinpoche is my guru, and also he is really like a parent. So really, we're just like a family. And so because he is just like a parent to me too, sometimes it does happen that he scolds me. And sometimes it also happens that I go to argue with him. So that does sometimes happen.
네, karma ba kumchen karent himdo. 제가 라비 요로 난주멜라 안타미스 난냠도 유베 맞더라더니 야타요 말이스 말냐와나 송르그리스 난통멜라 인송미송 요라 난통 통능아 스납 토바다 난 맥은 통왔다 까주님 봐 대담지 신칸 제토가 요리스 난냠도 요 대바데 된 나를 럭다 건데더니 나가 좀 통도가 요리스 때 거기서 대바지에 두고 말했더니 말 야, 산지 송요라.
A previous incarnation of the Karmapa, I don't remember which one now, but a previous Karmapa said that those who go together with me, they will all go to hell. And those who just see me from afar or who receive my teachings and who receive my blessings, they will take birth in the Pure Lands. And so he said that because if you spend much time with me, then slowly you will develop wrong views, you will begin to see my faults, and then you will begin to criticize me, and then it will be difficult to cultivate real devotion. And so for this reason, those who are too close to me, they will take birth in hell.
대파 메구조지텔라 라마라 용릉보 띵바당 용통통 띵바 다들치바 치어지 말이 진도 번나 차이야 칸나 되니 파모트발라 로마 망보 요라 땡땡난데 직진순군테 도수 통통라고 차다서와 로마 땡땡인데 되네 파모트바 데나송 가시셔 대비드더니 땡땡나 파모트바 육사했더니 공파 열랑 참말았더니 직진순군께 그 라마나 연단이 대박 먹고 다 파처마 쳇탐제 라더니 그 yap셔나 다 된듯이 대박 다낭 신도가 요로 대박 다낭 먹고 다 된듯이 요거 요리 라마 파쇼데 심진 속샤 다나 요방 그 코요 로마 참말았더니 라마 그 송토를 송대바 저바 장장 리상에 나와 샤혀 요로 공 덴데리 코 파모 주바리 코 마자리 코 자와리 코 제제리 니니 상요 말을 참아 라마 그 송토를 zel드 송대바 참아신 타마 치아타르달라 치하고서 야 덴타르달 탐제를 그 바위 산시 대세요로 된다 제 대바 먹을 때는 되네 이든 송고 로마 앙당고 자성으로 대인데 파절 나서를 로마 탐제 대바 제제로 한거 하는 문제라.
So actually when it comes to cultivating devotion to the Guru, I believe that it does not really make a difference how much time one has spent with the Guru. It's not that it's more special to have spent longer time with the Guru than a shorter time. It's not so certain. For example, in the case of Pagmudrupa, he had a lot of disciples, and among them all, Chigden Sumgen was the one that spent actually the shortest time with him. And so when he first came to Pagmudrupa's presence and to receive teachings, this whole vicinity of the monastery, actually Chigden Sumgen's faith and his pure perception was so strong that, of course, he had great devotion to the Guru Pagmudrupa, but even anyone else he encountered in the vicinity of the monastery, he saw them as an emanation of the Guru's body, speech, and mind. So whether it was the other disciples or even the animals like the dogs there and so on, whatever he encountered there, he saw it as an emanation of the Guru himself, and he bowed down to them and he felt great faith and great devotion, and he saw them with a completely pure view. So he didn't discern thinking like this is Pagmudrupa and this is a lay person and this is a monk and so on. No matter who it was, he saw them all as the light or like the projection of the Guru's body, speech, and mind, and whoever he encountered, even the dog, he would fold his hands in prayer and great respect. And so in the end, even though Chigden Sumgen spent the shortest time with Pagmudrupa, he actually became his most important, first and foremost disciple. And so, in this sense, actually, it could really be that probably all of you have much greater devotion to Garchen Rinpoche than I do.
Pagmudrupa sheksadin talong thambakitni jobaram bache linkorne. Ta chirang Pagmudrupa la dena de sutongdong mado 가추리 당화 효저 라요 말이 된 당화라서 고단은 지랑 나다시 효랑하게 나게 인선의 랭거 요로 된 저번에 된 성공케다 라마 땡용 통념 달라미 당화 나기사와 토글다 손하 걸 송요로 당화 가래 난거나가 닝이 야도우스 라마 땡용 통통 차수는 나가 세는 노스 라마 콩크 가래 송거나 때세 막 세는 야다요 taking under also.
And after Pamo Drupa had passed away, then there was another Lama, Daglong Tamparet, and he then approached Thigden Sumgön and he said that, so you only spent a really short time with Pamo Drupa, so you actually didn't have a lot of opportunities to receive his teachings. So if there are any teachings that you would still like to receive, I will give them to you. Please come and see me. And Thigden Sumgön responded to that actually it does not appear to me that I spent a short time with the Guru. It doesn't appear like a short time. And any instructions that I have received from the Guru, I keep them very close in my heart. And so that is sufficient. It's enough for me.
Okay. Then the Gardajan, the Lama Rinpoche rawola tene ngake ko song tok yungtin teleke tene yungtin te ta jing tonga toke yo mare ni ne tene te jugo na te ju hilike yungtin rawo yo mare te tene ta gangshi shin rawo sala yaris te ang te la ji lapshi mishi ten te ta ko nord de da otan ten
And so, of enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. So now I need to speak about Rinpoche's qualities. And so, number one is that I can't really see inside him to see his qualities. And number two, I also myself lack the qualities to the ability to really speak about things really in an eloquent way. Of course, I will share as well as I can. But if you find that it didn't really do a good job telling those stories, and if I even made mistakes, if you don't like the stories, then I'm very sorry.
나나더니 롱바진 나나더니 마상망보 요리 마상파처 앞쪽이 사운도 다 된듯이 마상진 나나 제리스 되네지네 되네 다른 뭐지 저 공판나나 팹 다 자주 가든 자주 제가 자니서 다 되고 살이 다 되는 되네 다른 뭐지 설표 된 데서 주례 나탈 요리 주례 나탈 되네 나서 화강wen의 제요 말단 강반나는 소반소 용년소 도선저반소 대세요래 되다 소반소죠 다 될배가 가요래 배 가요래 되네 뭐지라 배 가요래 되네 다 대값 되네 다세 다 공간다 우리다 되들 되네 나서 난 치바나서 치바나 나한테 로 윤죽섬사인도 윤죽섬사 다 같이 미시 나 근데 나와직선 나서 근데 다 나서 나그선도 다 배, 수야부지 용사린 소반소 때네 다 파마탐지 람도 그리다 공판 야거리 참창거리 때네 다제 야부지 용거리 찌찌 람도로 다제 야부지 차거사리 다대 차로다는 다가 현도사리 때네 나가 라디에 동등가 소 짐바 포바나 동네 때네 라디에 다고로와 때네 나 짐바 동 나가 짐바 동네 때네 짐바라 자나게 요리 설보 선나노 때나 짐바다 나도 요리다 나 현로 그리 되나 말이면 나 짐바던 돈 너가 가도 설보 요라 나디 신도 설보는 신도 serbo da ranking serbo marin senado 요르와 자 갖고 나시 되니 단 나와식서 나서로 자 동야 된다고지 나보다 내가 해요래 내가 해제 가르스 때 내상 보고 망고 제요래 아마라 되네 망고 정성라 되네 다나 현도거리 된다가 나 진발다 김ben 도갈다 되네 난도 그요래 다 지보지 책사리 당아 대항아 현서사리 돼 되네 나 된다지 난도다 휴사를 못 정해서 나서 가만 다녀오래 육사 되네 니마티 rinpoche 펩성 되네 rinpoche 그 민라가 왕낭서 같이 보라 당같이 중요 rinpoche가 이야 된 되네 공하게 민라 왕낭 되네 돼서 대서 되네 라지게 민사파지 주성 가서 롱발라 불하지 요라 그러나 치다라때 미마보 원살레 마보는 내가 자해요 말이 되네 돼서 그 민앙 인다지 사바지 좀 돼서 되네 돼서 깔리 다서
So I basically grew up at the monastery, and so, but it's like exactly it's also, there's this village around where I grew up, and that village is very small, about 50, 60 families or so live there. And so in the early 80s, around 81 or so, Rinpoche returned back to the monastery. And at that time, the Dharma was just not really much spreading yet. There was not really much happening. So at the monastery, we did not have a temple, and we were basically holding the various ceremonies in the house, in our house. So sometimes we would do different pujas, or the Yungne retreat, or Bodhisattva retreat, and so on. And I just remember I really liked those pujas and those group retreats. And I really liked Rinpoche. And so it was one winter when I was around like 12 or 13 or so years old, and I got really sick for a whole month with the gallbladder. And so at that time I was thinking, until now we had such a good time, and it was so nice doing all these pujas, and my parents were always talking about, like, later on they're going to build the monastery here, rebuild the monastery, and then there will be Lama dances, Cham dances, and everything will be so wonderful. So they were all talking about how things are going to be. And when I got so sick, I thought that I will not live to see that. I'm going to die. I was really scared that I'm going to die. And so there was this one time then when the doctor, when they examine your urine. So he asked for my urine, and so he was inspecting the urine. And the urine had a really unusual color, like a kind of like black tea, like kind of darkish yellow, not the usual yellow. And when I saw that, I thought something is really wrong. And I was really afraid. And I thought that I'm going to die, because in my family, my mother gave birth to many children, actually, and many of them had actually died. So it's not that uncommon. So I was really afraid that when I saw my urine, that I am going to die. And so I cried, and then some people told Rinpoche, and Rinpoche lived close by. And so one day he came by and he gave me the medicine Buddha empowerment. And it was just him and me, and he had me like sitting next to him and like holding me like that. He was giving me the medicine Buddha empowerment. And so up until that point, actually, the doctor gave me all kinds of different medicines, and nothing helped with that. And so then, after having received the empowerment, then the doctor gave me new medicine, and that then all of a sudden helped, and very quickly completely recovered.
Rinpoche ngawe pepe kapso ngaso jaso rewa jaso jeka 젤 서로 다 job jortan communist chada yura den tensan location san den ngaso je jordan mar galaguso galagu den sacha tamje gopja japso sacha tamje gopja jap den sacha tamje gopja jap sadu den da nga kum sante gompani tanchi ne sona jisu son zelang gala ta den je pa bo go yure den tensan den da ron boche den gompa yengsong upper monastery dan low monastery 담제 단 양자리 yen 되는 가서 소반 소주 망보 요래 된된사 된데 다 당하게 로수 르가 나가 로수 가서 농반나 보고 망보 요래 당하 로수 당하게 치에서 뭐 제가 삼아 잡아서 그래 잡아서는 야보 요래서 된서 송도 되니 나가 Then there's a different Rinpoche, like Palan, Aban, Lin Yando, or Abu, Javazo, Javazo and Roguri, something that you can't parking minute and Javazo, Gao, Martin, market Revachimbo Yuri, the ne Injimentan, Javazo, and Javazo songs in Amak the land at Tinta. Then Javase Chugolo Hyok. Then Chugolo Hyok had do the location and Agumpan and Dr. Mason, they and the name Yaka Nagapama and Pilaroba, Senjin Soyata, Gunkatan, Gumpan and Dog, then in Sopan Soyat. That and the Jays and there you is. Then Ginny, then it. Rinpoche 다시 팀마치라 rinpoche solo village 조안 solo persona 되는가 rinpoche 냠드는 송이 되는 rinpoche 임마치라 ngala 쇼송송 고는되는 송이 다치는 군판하나 파 되나 야보 요사리다 단체는 만도 군판하나 되나 야본도 다된데 송송 다 라치 전남마데 다 공판 하나 지보를 되는 야본도 직선 제한을 발진라고 유사리 다 공판 하나 되는 야본도 되니 송되는 가 공판 하나 되니 다 띵찬다고 되리스
So at that time when I was very young, so in our village we had this kind of community living there, so it was basically the kind of like a kibbutz, I guess. And so all the wealth came together to one place, and then it was kind of administered by kind of a central administration of this particular community. And so that's how we lived for quite some time. And then later, at a later point, then at some point, then all the wealth got divided up, and then all the pieces of land got shared, split up, and so on, and then everybody kind of had their own living. And so at that time, for me to travel to the monastery on horseback would take about 3 hours, right? About 3 hours, so it's quite far. And so that was the time when Rinpoche started to, so Abu Lama was not a monk then yet. And so that was the time when Rinpoche just started to rebuild the monastery. So Rinpoche built the upper monastery and the lower Gar monastery. There were many retreats going on there. And so at that time, there were a lot of boys in Abu Lama's village who were around the same age. And some were a little bit older. And Rinpoche said that these boys have to become monks. And then one time also Rinpoche left a specific message from my father, asking my father to send me to the monastery for me to become ordained. And actually my father did not really like that idea, but my mother had actually great hopes. My mother really wanted me to become a monk. And so my mother then persuaded my father, and then I became a monk and I entered the gates of the Dharma. And so in the beginning, I did not spend all year round at the monastery. So in summertime, I would go back home and help my parents with the animals. And in wintertime, I would go back to the monastery and do retreats and pujas. And so then at a later point, Rinpoche was always going around in the villages to do retreats. And so one time he went for a retreat ceremony, and I went together with him. And one time he called me over to tell me that it's better for you if you always stay in the monastery. It's better for you if you don't go back and forth, if you don't stay at home, because if you stay home with your family, you might encounter some obstacles. So it's better that you always and only live in the monastery. So this is when I started to then permanently live at the monastery.
마본 소고고 요리 니말 치수지에래 되네 제나 태는 도고고 요리 되네 좀 뭐지겠다 나서 잡아 탐질라 사마 독사 된 투진지야 요리 되네 뭐지 코레가 되네 대소요 백갑서 공판하는 요 공판하는 요드 되네 다 잡아 탐질게 소박간도 소박냠도 소야다 되는 신통 다들 종야 탐제라더니 동남제 되는 좀 뭐지 공래 tuksomato zamga marwa zamga maretene de kadu na nyamli chipo la yorne atende sehiyori.
And so that at the monastery we did a lot of pujas, probably 8 hours a day, and then also we had night sessions. And Rinpoche provided the monks with food and a place to live and various things that we needed. And if he had time, he would stay with us in the monastery. And he really liked doing pujas together with us monks. And also he really liked to spend the night sessions with us. And Rinpoche anyways, he would never lie down. He would always sit up straight. And basically he would at all times be in a state of practice.
Tene darum bochi gunfan and yopa kapsa tene ang masang tamjel mambo phep go yordan la nepan rawo ta tene mashe song ton rawo ta te tamjel gunfan na ya pon soban so go rumbochi nimsim mela tene chi meshing na yiri masun chuche na yi tene dar rumbochi kablen dog phep jimen sawani ne sung mare namshi drama yore teni rosa langala dubo yore tanjin rogo yore de kaps ma sayina yang teni samala kore phekhe yore teni kore ge song gari ta koran so ke ngala tende kanga yu pa dongha yu pa kaps nga yung ro zo de nga song na koran so pe symbala pe pingtho chenbo ganhang chenbo chendo de teni ngala kanga da de nan jehum do koran so la ten sambala gawo tan samba dewo cha so na ngale ka teri koran so la ji sen gawo tan ji bo koran so den de jiri so de gen de do so na teni ko gompan na ke joan so ya ta teni yin da sang so so tan je la koran so do ba ka ya del rumbo chi teni nan chin na ke da yo re.
And so Rinpoche would spend some of his time in the monastery, and all the other time he would go from home to home, family home to home, wherever he was invited to help people who have difficulties or who were sick or who had passed away. So really day and night. At daytime he would do pujas at the monastery. At nighttime he would go around from place to place to do ceremonies for people, help the people at their homes. It's like a machine. He was just non-stop, day and night. And he never said, I'm too tired, I'm not going, or it's too much, I'm not going. And it was very cold, it's very cold there, and the roads were really bad. Also, you had to travel on horseback everywhere you go. And Rinpoche would go anywhere and everywhere, whoever invited him. Because Rinpoche said that these people have real difficulties. And then they invite me, they ask me to come. And if I go, they will be so happy and it will really help them. It will help their mind. And if I say, I can't come because it's just too much, that would just not be okay. Because if I go there and if I bring some benefit and if it just makes them happy, then then I have fulfilled my mission. This is what I need to what I need to do, and that is all I need. So that's what he would say. And so this is how he would go around practicing pujas at the monastery on all the retreats that we did. And then whoever invited him, he would fulfill everyone's need. He would visit really anyone who asked for his help. And actually, he was quite famous for that in Nangchen.
다 미션 독사 요마랑 땅아 동다도 면은 접송 산 근데 파마 탐지 그 비지라 다 같이 요거 요라 나 텐데 찍다 나 시사도 삼나 라마는 보지 지금 나 마신 즉 딘토야 당 근데 왕데 토야 근데 지금 나 타시요 했는데 대마도 말이다 먹어선 근데 라마 요라 다 대도 진 대바 요리 대나기 바 콩레가 된 대나기 코나서 레바데 네 님생이 발라 강 요리스.
And so really everyone there has a lot of devotion for Garchen Rinpoche. And now when, for example, a person was really sick and they were about to die, if they just had the opportunity, if they could just see Rinpoche, then they would feel happy. They would feel that now I am ready to die. Now I would die without any regrets in my mind, as long as I could see Rinpoche. And so then Rinpoche would go to those places and he would bestow the Amitabha empowerment and practice Powa for them. And anyways, there is no other way for us than to die. And so people, knowing that, before that would happen, they would tell their family, kind of like as their last wish, that when it comes to the point where I am going to die, I only have one wish, and that is, please invite Lama Rinpoche, meaning Garchen Rinpoche, before I die. Please have him come here and have him practice Powa or give an empowerment. I need nothing else. That's my only wish. So that's the kind of devotion the people in Tibet have for Rinpoche. And he would follow every single request. So he would go around really day and night.
Gonda samasaya yumarwa. Tene tekas ngak ngoshi baje yu ngapin desa nyare. Korang ka lan rashigari lan. Te korang lapso tanga chirang ka lat lobgo yin ko ko loro yu ko lapso. Nga loro yu ko. Te nga remote tejer gawo yuri. Te nga lat lab de lobsanso. Te nga lab de lobje ka teta. Rumo jang de ba. Te ni ma za Rinpoche ngang kang ba na pepsa. Te Rinpoche section te. Rinpoche ta chang labdi ma jang. Song song. Te sa de te sedo da nga su tawa mango yu, tawa simchu ni shu simchu sa yu. Te Rinpoche song song. Ta nga su te sa solo lang yu. Gong seng da yu ra. Te Rinpoche song song. Abo chini gompa salon tongyamdo. Nesam the Korang gomda jat the said you Samson. Korang nangni Latrio, Trelog Yang Dondo. Lati Yang den, Korang Ripas Hamat and Zungol Landris and Zumongola. Ripat, then Chang Chund up to Maris. Then Ching Chuba Yongo Mari, Taha Chaga Mari. And the Jaya Yomari. Chang Chudrogol Matot, and the Siayo Marison. What you call it that? Chichipula some of the Merindo. Then as a Trava Tamjela, Tam Kimbo Messangia, Kimbo Tenzin Zambunjia, Lama Kangaya, Jiak, Tapi, Chakin Kongatum Euro. Then Trava Tamji, Laxar Lovia, in that Lat Jayata, Ramon Jayata, the Tamji took you Namdo. Konaga Chuba inside the Matama Chudrop Gully, then Messended Madabari, Yurumbo, you Maris, and Konak, Nimjonk some Jumpa Urua. Then the thing I saw that then I did that. Then the sin Chu Solat Lodgira that and the Zenonua.
So then the monastery then became a really a great monastery, and we had about 80 to 90 or so monks at that time. And so every summer we held the rain retreat, the summer retreat, which is held for a month and a half. And the rules are very strict. For example, we had lunch but we didn't eat dinner. And so anyways, there was this one time during that summer retreat where we always had a 3-hour lunch break. So after the lunch, there was 3-hour break. And so then there was like a kind of a relative of mine who was a tanka painter. And he said to me, don't you want to learn how to paint tankas? I teach you. And I actually kind of like painting pictures. So I said, okay, I'm going to learn it. And so then he gave me books and things like that, and canvas where I can practice painting. And so I read the books and I studied and I tried to paint tanka, and I learned that all in my room. And so one day, then Rinpoche came to my room and he saw all the the utensils, the paintings and the brushes and so on. And he said that don't do that. Don't learn how to paint tankas. And so then that afternoon we had another break and we were just sitting outside in the grass, and there were about 20-30 monks, and Rinpoche, in the presence of all of them, said, did you know Abao? I thought Abao, and I never see him anywhere going around in a monastery. I thought that he surely must be sitting in his room meditating the whole time. But guess what I found when I went to his room? He's learning how to paint tankas. And then all his mind, his awareness goes into the brush. So he will never become a Dharma practitioner, leave alone Dharma practitioner. He will not even become a monk like that. So it's better for you, all of you monks, not to learn all kinds of things. It's better to practice the Dharma. Don't do this and don't do that. Don't get distracted. And that's how Rinpoche was. He is. He only thinks about the Dharma. And also at that time, he tried to really facilitate Dharma practice for us in any way. For example, by also bringing us to great lamas like Khenpo Münso Rinpoche or Khenpo Tenzin Sangpo, and the best lamas, the highest lamas. He made all of that happen for us. And he did not at all approve of us learning all kinds of other skills and different, arts and crafts and painting pictures and so forth. Because Rinpoche himself is a Dharma practitioner, so all he cares about is Dharma practice. And he always says that this lifetime is impermanent. It won't last long. So Rinpoche has very strong renunciation, and so therefore this whole time he always tried to direct us back, to bring us bring us into the direction of the Dharma.
into then Rinpoche Gongfan and Yudia, Tene Kongrek, Yuksa Zenari, Nyasa Zenari, Kamachemato Yomaro. Then the Teni Kamachika, Nanda Uchilla, then the tribute Yuri. Tribute the tribute the Tolachins on the Ridangune, Yawaji Yomare. That Chahako me, Mezayo, Zonache Yuri, me, Soa. Me Barcedes, me Marboyo, de Lusachi, Zamaji Yura, de Yusari, de Yusa tribute Yuri. The Chenra, Chen the Meza Yusa Yugura, the Yusa Chen the Konreg Yudin, Kotola Chinsora, Meza Yomulo Bachas on it. Then the Konreg Tekala, Rambe Ya, Chen del Maria, then take the Konreg Ding, then the Rindoa. Mune Yawaja Yomare. That the color, young Zere. Then the living room generally, Coney Yusa generally, Matsama, the Nandron, no yogurt. Remote Gene. Then Tangas Mamabutani, remote in Hayong, Konazotana, the remote in Remotella, and no yogurt. You done the Tajer Tong the Gawayura, Tong the Tenichi, Devan of Jisarwa. Then the Kajan tune out that Shoshigamare. Machatan, then Kashika Samu Shogo, Kashigan, Kajan Ram, the show, Kantajan, Hutanda, you. Then, that the two Yubakas. The two men of Pemdroya. Tezoche. Lama Yindandona, Berna, Zimsala Zimsa, Menjarkatansa, Jarkatansa, Menhelinsin, Sama Yinsa, Sama Yinsa, Damra Mambo Yura, Roboting in a Duchong Choshi. Then an Yura. Then it passed Pep Gohoyuna, Konrang Nabzakuchiga, Chilan Gigmaritala, Korim Heshanchibo, Dan. Then Konrang at the Take. Gavia Euro, take Pituta, then Sina Konyazin and Inka Konyazin and Mehamche, Log Papa Gizukato Euro, Terita. Yan in Sin Konya. Then Konrang soon with Chit and Tala Chala Mabukin, then Namim Chimbo Yuris, Konrang's Jab Kondogoroya. La Jantapade. Then Namin jewering it. The sea Pukumandus. Think that to look at me that Zin Shantabte Matog Pichutam Pukumandus on the Sondoa.
Then another place where Rinpoche stayed at the monastery, his kind of quarters. So basically, everything, it was one room, and the room was everything. It was the living room, it was the bedroom, it was the dining room, it was everything. So there was just this one room. And inside that room, there was this box-like structure, which was his seat and also his bed. He would just always sit there all the time. And actually, it's not just like a kind of a specially crafted box. Actually, it was a broken thing. So now in Tibet, they have these containers for like, so they when they heat their rooms, they burn coal or something else. Whatever they burn, they're how do you call that? The embers, like the what's left behind, right? It's not just the ashes, it's like
Coal.
the coals, but after they're burned. Yeah, so was it the embers? No, something else, or still burning, right? So anyways, the coals after they're burned, right? So they have this like generally everybody has this kind of container where you put the used up coals inside, yeah, and so that belonged to somebody and it broke, and then Rinpoche took it to make his box out of it. So that is actually where he was sitting and where he was sleeping. It was not a crafted box, but it was an old coal container that somebody had thrown away because it was broken. And Rinpoche didn't want to throw it away, and he thought that that's perfect for me to use, and he put his made his seat on there, and he was just sitting there all the time. And so then sometimes people would just come. It was quite a spectacle for people. Sometimes people would just kind of walk in and walk through a room just to look at him and then walk out again, just for to see him like that. And of course, sometimes people would ask him more or some questions, but usually people don't really say so much. They don't really ask much questions. And so they would just come in and out to see him like that. And he would just sit there. Whenever he was here at the monastery, he would just sit there the whole time. When he had time, of course, at other times, he would travel and go places. And so that's extremely unusual for a Lama because traditionally, of course, in Tibet, a high Lama would definitely have a bedroom, and he would have an audience room and a room kind of like a reception, and he would have a dining room and a kitchen and so forth. Rinpoche had no need for any of that. Rinpoche had little desire for things and complete contentment. And also when he had to travel elsewhere, we had to travel on horseback, so Rinpoche never dared to put anything on the horse because it would be too heavy. So we couldn't really bring anything for him with us. He just had the robes which he had on his body already. And there was this kind of a sheep skin thing that he kind of a skirt that he was wearing day and night. So anyways, he was wearing it. And then he put on a saddle on that horse, and that's it. He didn't want to put anything else on the horse because he said that we can't load up the horse with heavy things because it's very heavy for the horse. And on top of that, if I make it heavy for the horse, then I will have heavy karma ripening in the future. I don't even dare to do that. So therefore, he never put anything else but the saddle and the clothes that he already had on his body on that horse.
Then that gumpan then gumpan then that chubun la kura loson chubun da ku then ta gumbak chi chubak yobzi jalate te nyacha de yabosi ki yus then tarum bachi ketani kong jeksena kong jagala jengro ge yinte den chang chigo songso den ta kata de jagala songro jagala ne ku song ku somlo den ne ku chasang kor den ku som 고비를 섭해보면 공부하는 말패 대 공알이 요 되는 안 고로라 양자용 바이올서 대다 상 아메리카 럽송로 급저 급저 고로 급저 곡선로 자가라송로 아리라 급주 곱댕로 사고 근데 테마타고 급주 곱댕로 근데 지마도 급주 곱제래 양자 엉라 다도 근데 다 자가 진다 네거 다 되네 이위는 언제야 된세봐
So then at the monastery, I learned I became a Chöpen, which is a shrine master. Did the training for 3 years. And then I was being very careful with these activities. So I was really being very precise when it came to the various ritualistic activities and how to handle the offering substances and so forth, and how to to kind of store them. So I was being very conscientious in these activities. And so then one day Rinpoche came to speak to me, and he said that maybe I'm going to India, and if so, then I would like to bring you with me. So then he did go to India, so we went together to India in 1993, and we did the whole pilgrimage. And was it 93 when you met Holiness, right?
Yeah.
So also in that year, we met His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And then we returned to Tibet in 1994. And then 1996, we left Tibet again. We went to Nepal and India again, right? And then back to Tibet. And 1997 was the first time we arrived in North America. And then we left again. And then the second time, we finally arrived in 1998.
Tene ta ja pa jin tin ne tham jela tene Rinpoche ke chi sa chupa sonda munlan tene de ka so phebda tene chi zogolo gompa ki jo pamjor ke dosong to ma go ba te Rinpoche khore ke kanga ya ya ta tene chi ta tende chi wen nga so ta tab de win pheb ko yo ro tang Rinpoche khore pe sha te sa ta phung to te sa yo ro yin na yang da de dosong tang ma go ba te Rinpoche pe sha khore la pe sha phung se te Rinpoche gompa nang sho ko yo re gompa la Rinpoche khore pe sha chun da bo ja ga ma re tene Rinpoche ta Rinpoche sha so nga da lo sum chu da san ro yo te Rinpoche khore gerla ngene bena de de ga nyong nyong je ma re de de ga nyong nyong je ma re ngene den chi de ge phun se te gompa la pa ting thap gompa la ta chi da ma tra ba ta ruan so ya ta chu dru ya ke ge sa chi den da ya le ma to Rinpoche khone ko gar ke pe chu sin da den chi ni se yo ma ra ta ja la phe da de sa khone la ngo shi ba tam je ke pe shan ro te de na de pe chu ta yo ma ra tene 가지 땅나 주반 배야 제렌도 트랑보라 안지 자야 제렌도 데 라소바리 마도 된 인다도는 나서 뭐라 야보테 란로 줘라 된 나서 바스난지리 되니 드바 로바 가려면 장고는 부제 로바 가려면 데 라오벤다 다 된다 වෙනත니 송 나 군부적 다 가다 장도 성이 또 요 말이 야 yin 레레다 다 된다 우리 야
So then, so back to our trip to India and Nepal when we went on the pilgrimage. So also when Rinpoche traveled to the pilgrimage to India and Nepal, he did not at all use any money from the monastery to pay for that trip at all. So the money that he received from different pujas and whatever the monastery received, he would never keep any of that for himself. He would give everything to the monastery for the monks. And he would never keep any money on him at all. Actually, I've been his attendant for around 30 years now, and in this entire time, Rinpoche never actually even bought socks for himself. So that's how he has always been. So whatever people would offer him, he gave it to the monks and for their retreats, for their pujas, so that they can practice the Dharma, but he never kept anything for his own personal use at all. And so the way we were traveling, therefore, was that we didn't really have any kind of a budget for traveling, anyone to pay for it. So we just kind of saw how it went, basically, taking it day by day. And so sometimes we had maybe some friends who kind of housed us or helped us. And even if the friends actually gave Rinpoche a little bit of money, then he would immediately, he would not keep it anyways, he would immediately either make offerings with that money or he would give it to the beggars there. he would not keep it anyways. So when we were going around in India and Nepal, no, any other Lama would definitely travel in a nice car. And we actually went on the public bus everywhere we went. And sometimes, Drupa Lodro and sometimes Holiness, Chizan Rinpoche helped out here and there, but basically that's how we traveled.
Did Rinpoche la Hamgo Kuya to Yura, Hamgo Kuya te Jack, Mama head to Yuri. Mama Hango Serpent or Reg in the Yuri. Then now the Dorji didn't then nothing so one saw the ten don't get to that day and shutting somebody that Rinpoche Jala put Congress started to suck in the tree as I were much. Mark Ham going over to Reg in the Yuri. The name not Jalas of the ten of the Euro. The name Newman Monan Solos on the Newmarket Kimbo, Zokin Kimbo Chuga. Chuga Katar, Rinpoche Payan and Gis at Rockok. Payan and Git, Rinpoche Dorji dinner, then Rinpoche Hango Cock Moons is a solo pitch at the Cock Hako Sarah. Oh, then got Rinpoche. Hango is the Hango Dopomate. Then the Conk and Denison. What do you want to say?
Rinpoche also had this special kind of shoes. They were Chinese army shoes, and they were made of yellow kind of cotton. So, and we had very obvious army shoes. And so we went with these shoes to Bodh Gaya, to the Nyingma Mönlam, and there was a Kempo, a Dzogchen Kempo Chuga, and he had met Rinpoche before already in Nepal. And so in Bodh Gaya, you can't enter right with the shoes on, so Rinpoche left his army shoes outside at the gate. And when that Kempo entered, he recognized the shoes, and he knew that, oh, the Garchen Rinpoche is here, these are Garchen Rinpoche's shoes. These are not just normal shoes. So he picked up the shoes and he put them on his crown.
Okay. That's a very humor. Okay. Then that fire genius. Then that Nahashopan has a Rinpoche Coral Perry. Then he got a pepper cups. Then he Langa Gilta, Sanjik Kondram, the Mambo Yura. Then Sag Jabatang, you repeat Jabatang, that there's some Rinpoche cook to what salad. That good a Kajila Samba, you beat there, you read, and the Mambo Yuda. Never a bit of water. You know, so much to that chin you, Mari. Then Rinpoche tell. Sanjing was a yoke de Banaji. Kuyavi, Sa, Tubato, then it is a salato. Then the Janja, Zen, the Pemdo.
So we were in Nepal, and then on that pilgrimage, and early in the morning we would go around the stupa for a circumambulation. And so around the stupa there are a lot of Buddha statues and the different holy objects. And because Nepal is generally quite a bit of a kind of dirty country, so they all had a lot of bird poop on them and monkey poop. So the statues were all the statues were full with poop from animals. But Rinpoche didn't even care at all. And he was so overcome with respect and really thought that really these statues and these images are the real Buddha himself. And so he bowed his crown, his forehead down to every single one of them into the poop, actually. Every single one of them. And then he would even touch his hand, and then he touch his 3 places like that. And so this is how he was going around, and it didn't even occur to him that it didn't matter to him whether this is poop or not. And so the other people already had done like 2 circumambulations, and we didn't even finish one yet, because Rinpoche would stop at every single statue, and he didn't even look at, because there's all kinds of statues. There's like Hindu statues and Buddhist statues. He didn't even know what's what really, but everything he saw everything as the same, with a complete pure perception and a devotion, and he bowed down his crown onto each and every of these statues.
Okay, then the needs are American American Tamung having in the Mondu Saturday today. Pascal Slaughter. Then Naharambochi, so Pascal Garchen and Pep Chisuni Gogari, so young. Then it Rambochi touches with Japan Junior Maribat Garchen and Tess had it in that. That's why young San and Sagola Yamana, Panang and Rogoro. Then you might jail as much songs. That Chisu Junior Gashikori, that Panang Pepso, the ne origin Samasas Carigosari and Washi Shuimba, which is songs or Samasa the Peshaka City got so. Pachemer Dollar Chires Gosari Shimba. Oh, that this Apugumari, Rolla Jut, Janakum, Jachuri the Uris. The Goma Jachuteka, Lama Gomor, Pushana, Pemasip, Sonasan Yuri. Then in any case, Labrang Peshaka, Samasushana, Lama Rilon, Gomor, Samasusha in Japan, Yungari. That's Apugumari, that Nan Rogoriso. Lama Rilon, Pesha Langdon as Samasishavana Chando in Nipachimuri. Then I asked to Nipasa Chando here to Rosama. The Yena at the end of the Dagardajan correct Jimde Shipchipalatin, and the songs in Kantotum, the Najan is.
So then we had arrived in America, and our first place where we first lived was a little bit outside of Prescott, so not here. And we had this teaching event going on that was 2 hours driving away, and the teachings were from 10 to 12 noon. And so then at noontime, when the teachings were over, I asked Rinpoche, so what are we going to do for lunch? Shall we go to a restaurant or shall we just go home? And Rinpoche asked then, how much does it cost to eat in a restaurant? And I told him, well, maybe around $10 per person. And Rinpoche said, oh, I won't dare to do that because $10 is 80 Chinese RMB, the yuan. And if I would be able to give $80 to all of the lamas in the monastery, what a great merit that would be. So now, since in his mind he had already given it away now, he said that, so then if I now go to the restaurant, it would be just like I'm stealing 80 RMB from each of those lamas, so that's why I can't go. And so that's why we didn't go, and so we had to drive home for 2 hours, and we only arrived back home at 2, and we had a really late lunch. So this is how Garchen Rinpoche always is. With everything, he's very careful and very precise.
So America Pepson, so Carton Mambol Peguris. The pepper cups and Kakichuso Kashela, then checking Yabo Kashela, checking you Mari. Then that got you 9 Zealand, Tish, 1 Zealand. Ganga Mango Yoris. The Lelao rhythm, those 6 and a part of the Lelao Tome Yoro. Then the Della 왕南卷呢，가래呢，人不这个大点种子，这么多。但가래呢，왕 drop过呢，其实你的顺利上 drop 这，到位呢。但我呢，就多少点点，搞来讲呢，就来准备到忙干吧。但是谁有的是？呢，大去说看他们这呢，呢，开始可能大刚突突人不起来去，这做个了，年龄也不，什么有的是，开始跟第二次大去，把这trouble这个当下把那些没嘛有的是，但咱们这忙不有的是，但这搞大讲，干的就是有那人不经个呢，这可能说了搞的高的呢，可能是都把搞的呢，对，恰上这头了个他去，那个有的是，但这个那人不去，这没满意，把我那这人不去，家难人，这通都是。干着也没呀，搞来看着也没呀，躺车也没呀，真的，这做个了，这我说我搞来忙不着是躺车，等你没了，这做把工作了，工头这么多，什么今年嘛这个对吧那些的，去年就多有嘛的。
And so when we then were in North America, then Rinpoche began to travel and visit many different centers. And of course, there are all kinds of centers. Some centers had basically more a bit more organized than others. And so Rinpoche would go there and basically do whatever was asked of him. He would teach and he would give empowerments, and actually it was not easy to follow him there. It's actually very, very difficult. Maybe from the outside it looks like this is just wonderful and not so difficult, but it really was not easy. For example, that's because no matter what it is, Rinpoche never picks the easy way. He always does everything very precisely. He doesn't look at now what's more convenient, what's easier. For example, when he would do a self-empowerment, when he does a self-empowerment, he does a self-empowerment for hours, 2 or 3 hours. The only thing he would care about is to care for others and not to go against karma, cause and effect. And he would endure any kind of hardship at all, anything that was asked of him. And so there were all kinds of different centers. And of course, some centers really had a proper preparation, organization, and welcomed Rinpoche properly. And some other centers were quite casual and treated Rinpoche more like just inviting a friend over. So there's all kinds of different circumstances we were in. But from Rinpoche's perspective, it was all the same. Basically, he did whatever was asked of him. Anything anyone wanted, he would do it. And actually, I was really always thinking that Rinpoche is not a human. He's like an Iron Man. He's never tired, no matter how hard he works, no matter how long it takes. He's never tired. He's never exhausted. He's always exactly the same. So personally, I reach a certain point where after I've worked really hard, I just get tired. And then even if I try, I just can't be patient. And Rinpoche, each and every day, not a single day, he was not like that. Every single day, he was just like that and completely unchangingly.
Samsho yupa, teni yindung dribjala, teni jonhang mipa, teni tsama karizoglo, pacha kakendo mayaku, dimba, tangbo yimpa, teni tsama dasan zindwa. Matsama Yabori sound of Conk. Then the sound of the cup guns, then go saying Condo. Gangate and Condo. That Matsama chick Lana in Chizogolo. Yoja Mepa. Karela Yoja Mepa. Chado Mepa. Matrambo Impa. And the Jill Sama, Museum and the Cork Sama, Mazambola, Dassan Jino Noa. I'm sorry.
Rinpoche had always had a real strength of heart, and he would never, no matter what, he would never give up. He would always persevere and do anything at all to help others, without ever getting tired and worn out from it. And on top of that, also, whoever he met, he saw in this pure way. Everyone he meets, he sees as completely pure. Like everyone is the deity. Everyone is completely pure. And for example, Rinpoche he always thinks that anyone at all is a wonderful person, and everyone is completely honest, and nobody would ever deceive anyone else, and nobody would ever get jealous. And so everyone is just a perfect human being in his eyes. That's how he sees every single person. Of course, sometimes that also got him into trouble a little bit.
Yeah. Capcom thing, yeah, Chering na yi married the Masama. That was all the Kangate songs. That's Hanjer in the Mandoa. Masama Chirana yi married Yojo Yuri, Churjo Yuri, Marabi Yuri, in Tondo Lapua. Ermotilla. Oh, then Rinpoche Suhundo. Java Sambaka Mona Yura, Tanana. Semjin Tamarji Pala, Sanjan and the movements as on. Semjin Tamjik Jula, new by Yuris. Then Sanjik or Semjin Tam Jula new by Yuri, that Pintato Maris, Mar Yokog Maris. Sanjay Tamjik Lapar the Sevesiki Yuris. Semjin Jula new by Yuris. There are Sanjay Lapar. Took Sevak Yuri, Mato, Semjin new by Yuri, Takorja, took Maris.
And so since we ran into trouble because of that sometimes I did say to Rinpoche, not everyone is like you. So now we had some problems, didn't we? And I said, so is this person a Buddha now or what? And look at what they're doing. Isn't it obvious? They are cheating others. They're being dishonest. They're being really rude. Everyone can see it. So I would say those kind of things to Rinpoche. And then Rinpoche in response would say, he would quote this line in the Maitreya prayer, where it says, all sentient beings possess afflictive emotions. Even though they are afflicted, the Buddhas never blame them. The Buddhas never say, oh, these beings are just too bad. They are just helpless. They can't be helped. So let's just forget about them and just throw them away, just dismiss them. So they would not dismiss someone because they were just too bad, too afflicted. And actually, those who were particularly afflicted, they would regard that kind of individual with even greater love, even greater compassion.
Oh, Karta Janta, Tarumbochilla, Sotar, Sansen, Sanga. This one Karumboch Sanga Yuris. Sotan, Legimde, Taki Tawatan, Rumbochike. Sunho Yuris, Susan is Sunho Yurit, Nani, some new Batamja, new wonder, Tangu Maris. Sansan, Semjin Tamje, Sama, Drobu, Dromo, Pamanai. Ayuris Sangana, Rumbocheke, Tangela Imba, Payan Kolan Angela Tendeche Yuri the Sama long as you yoke deep on Nanji. Tene, they must Matamjila, La Sen and Newman Bamipa, Yojo Mipa, Sorzo Mipa, Tendeche Lanajin, and Yura. Sa, sure. Carrying Samati. Don't have Chatham jet, about much song to you, that you do come at Jung Atom, Laka and Yeri. Tene ranking new Mumba, Jeshana, Tene flying at Chuck no patang, Megan no patang Yuri, Saka no patang Yuri, then Rank less I cannot, and Young Yuri, Demado, Tening also such a me long Sama, Laka and Yeri, the other thing and also near the Yuri, some Yura. Sort of.
And so also Rinpoche perfectly possesses all the vows of the Pratimoksha, of the Bodhisattvas, and of the Vajrayana. For example, according to the Pratimoksha, the individual liberation, Rinpoche follows karma, the law of karma, very precisely, even in the most subtlest of ways. He keeps all of the vows on the outer level and also on the inner level. He doesn't allow his mind to become controlled by afflictive emotions on the inner level. And then regarding the Bodhisattva vows, Rinpoche regards everyone as someone close, all beings, as a friend, a male friend, a female friend, parents, sees them really as dear ones. And according to the Vajrayana, as we just mentioned, for example, when we were in Nepal and we were circumambulating that stupa, Rinpoche really saw all of these statues as the actual deity. And as I just mentioned before too, also even when he met normal people, he would always see them as the deity, completely pure. He would never think that they are afflicted or they are dishonest or they are like charlatans and so on. He would never see them that way. And not even just people, he even regards the elements, earth, water, fire, wind, as completely pure. He always mentions that, so no need for me to mention that, but we know that Rinpoche sees the 5 elements as the deity. And of course, Rinpoche also says if one's mind is afflicted, then it is possible that the elements cause harm. Then there is harm caused by fire or water or the earth. But that only happens if one has accumulated karma. Otherwise, in the natural state, the elements really are the deity. And also he says that, and because they are the deity, that's the reason why we are able to even sustain life among the elements is because they are the deity.
Tumba chomdin ke se da jin jin la. Chiranke sagi nam gi nyamlin chi, chiranke cho nam gi nyamlin chi, chiranke me nam gi nyamlin chi, chiranke long nam gi nyamlin chi sung do. Tene sagi la zama yori, zogba yori, sagi ke ko da zama ri ndendo da zogba ri ndendo la ko yo maris. Meke that Zamari and Sengrogi, that's all part and segments of your maris. Kare not any Chapa, down me between Chizogula, Chapa and Shimpa me between Yamin Sigori, song the song said that in Zena. Back.
The Buddha Shakyamuni gave a teaching to his son Rahula, and he said that practice, he said literally practice like the earth, and like the water, and like the fire, and like the wind. And he meant that when you practice like the earth, like the ground, for the earth, the ground, everything is the same. The earth does not make a difference saying that this is clean, this is dirty. The earth provides foundation for everyone, and it doesn't reject anything on it. And so likewise, it is with fire. When you practice like fire, the fire is also pure in the sense that it has no kind of bias as of burning this, but I'm not burning that. It burns anything. And so in a similar way, have no preference, have no attachment, and have no aversion.
Okay. Then that Rinpoche, that do ye to you, do ye. Name it Jade on Tauriva. Myung Bedu, Pumpedu, Lipedu, Chip Dark do the Euro, do ye. That new Bedu, Jade Urizen, Rinpoche, Tabar, Jinshipayu, Zone. Nyamlin Nangdoro, Nyamlin Nangdoro, then you move on to my shop. You want the short sona, then you move do called Jarson Roa. Tell a Tarambo chicken. Yamlet upper Nando, you move on to short your married, then you move do the Jariori. Pumpu do Rambo chicken. Corner, little in Simando, yeah. Chip Melapin Tony, Nana, Gavlecana car, Magarovens and Nandexons and the Sound Noa. I'm a canto on a tumble, Matam Jake. Oh, Matula, Jolly gonna, oh, a Charlie in a coat, Jad and Damadarin, go not come to Jayon, a chantong, Zen and the Grive, the Gumari son, this Amdoa. Ah, then the Huni. The Huni Matula charging tongues organa, Shana Shandua. Marimari, Tangachan Charte Gona, the Chate Chan Nalerina, Chan Archu Jasigua. Or Chat and Dragon Miona, Kong Archu Jar and Satawan Asandua. What chick Malapin told that Gable Cana, Garrison, Pintos and Dexons sound. Some don't car in. Berna, what's yin sound you? Nasok Tampu, Nasando. Nalak Jack in a con Nan and Narkali, Yorak Society. Tendo Marie. Bend over, then certain over in.
And also Rinpoche really has conquered the four maras, the mara of the afflictions, of aggregates, of death, and of the gods, and how he had conquered the demon of the afflictions is because Rinpoche always abides in the state of mindfulness, in the state of practice, and he never becomes controlled by afflictive emotions. Because if one would become controlled by them, then the afflictive emotions, the demons, the maras, would defeat you. But he had brought them under control, so he's always in a state of practice. So this is how he overcomes the mara of the afflictions. And regarding the mara of the aggregates, Rinpoche doesn't care about his body at all. He doesn't cherish his body at all. All he cares about is benefiting others. And for himself, he just thinks that if I'm sick, if I get sick, I get sick. If it's hard, doesn't matter. As long as I can make other people happy, that's what I want. For example, so Rinpoche doesn't think about what could happen to him. So maybe we think here, we might think that way that, for example, just an example, if I give you some tea, and then you get sick from drinking that tea, then you might sue me. So that's why I don't want to even give you tea, because I'm afraid that if it doesn't really work out, you might sue me in the end. So I won't even offer you tea in the first place. So that's kind of our general maybe attitude, right? But so basically, Rinpoche is quite the opposite. He doesn't care at all what is going to happen to me. He will just do whatever necessary to benefit others.
Life do Rivata, Labak do te Rinpoche, do you Nangala Yima Yomarua? Do you Nabangala yung ayo marwa ta demo tandu zelendo samaya zelendo teni rahnin bo zelendo trashin bo zelendo tate tamjela rawan thobde ngane kong kare ta nga los ni sumjuride nima chegla rambo chegenda samata hibo mando zon lakin ngagla song mayonda marjinda la song thila rang manyo kadu na kong pe gana gade banai segundo timendo ya ta te da otni kata ja life pak dul jade yoris life pak du te ni ganang jinang te ni ko chaja doyong ala simba te ni chudulu te so yo marwa ta rompoche hilan chuseri mis kon zinghyong nan ron kadu na gomjak segro nga hyo khonre la zemon da wina cherek gomja hiu na mane cherek zungdu sa sena cherek zungdu na gi di si sena 상진 로 요사리 왔어. 지 zungdu sa ri khona. Ta pachang cherek na yin zungdu sima ayu na gomjana ne de shonyo. Ta tenga so ha ko ri ta ji hilan chu se ri ji dongda yu se ri ma do de ren ba ji kon ri zhong na yong de zhou zhou yu ju sai ma yang ni si ma ri ba de dang ga su hian de ma go ba.
Then there is the demon of the gods, which is the distraction. And so, as we all know, Rinpoche, of course, is never distracted by any of the five sense objects. Like he doesn't care about, like entertainment or like watching some kind of spectacle. And he doesn't care about good food, and he doesn't care about nice music and or pleasant, sweet scents and fragrances. He has completely overcome all of that. And I have spent around 30 years with him, and there's never been a single time where he had said that, for example, the food is not good. So he would not spend his time at all indulging in the five sense pleasures at any time. So he has no preference. He doesn't think that I want this and I don't like that and so on. So he is not at all like that. And also at all times, whenever he is resting, he always sits in his room in meditation posture, and he's just always meditating the whole time. And so I told him actually once, also kind of jokingly, that you are so diligent. If somebody would practice with that kind of diligence, they would become enlightened. But probably there is nobody who can practice like you do. So his diligence is really incredible, but there is no need even to explain that, to really talk so much about that, because you all know about that. You all see Rinpoche, how he always meditates and he's always in this state of practice.
Then chibdak do te ta Rinpoche gonjang do de tene chida ko phungpo te kheng ro wa re ma to sem ta la tene chim chim mi ba ke dung to ta tene chi yong ro ko yo ro gonjang do te tene tene chibdak do le jar song na ris tene te de ta nga ka la ma na nga ka tu pa we de che we na bu ke ta san ro we na khem san da wo ting tong go yo ris tene nga ka la ma teng ya sam mi jek sam mi ze de na kim san da ho yu ris tene yina yang ta an tene hie go la tene ji la yong de tene ta tene ji la sha ba ris te ma dong nga ke nga la ma jek sam mi zo ne tenga chu sa la hie no ma nyong si yina yang ta nga ne ji lo re song da re song ke je bo che la dang che che 대바 제체 네 제 추바 다 드라미 그 작색 발라다 말아레 빠지는 근데 마도 어유나 상골이 나와 현동도스 근데 다 공을들아 내면 나팀 나자 야보 차상지가 요 말이 삼아 공을 때도 그 요리스 때인데 럼버제 공을 푸스 쏘되는 형향 매반다 오르와 얘는 야 공을 나부 자 요 말이 땅 쏘는데 삼아스 때도 그 요리 때인데 지금은 말아래봐 무슨 일이 있었는데 제 나는 한 향도도 때인데 다지 나기 신은 마시나 지금 담으라도 마볼 랍티 때인데 시시요난 담민은 다다 кар다지 신나 발라 핀 톨단 냐야다 마톨단더니 바 이거 거야리더니 두지 제일 나야 했던 또
And then there is the Mara, the demon of death. And so, of course, Rinpoche, through his practice, had realized that it's just the body that dies, but the mind cannot die. He has realized the nature of the mind that is beyond birth and death. So he has defeated the Mara of death. And so now I've shared some words about my Lama, and from a Tibetan perspective, in the Tibetan tradition, it's a little bit strange actually to do that, especially if it's your own Lama. It's a little strange to sit and tell people, my Lama is so great and there is no one better than him and he's the best of all the Lamas and why, that's why. So it's considered a little bit strange in the Tibetan tradition to do that. But since I was asked to do that, I shared a few words. But actually, it's the first time I'm doing that, and I've never actually done that before. And now, just in conclusion, as I spent these years with Rinpoche, it's really month by month and year by year that I am by his side. My love for him and my devotion for him is only increasing. And I really feel that he's the real practitioner. He's like the Milarepa of the 21st century. And just like that, when we see, for example, just how he dresses, he just needs one robe and everything else he gives away. And actually, if we had accumulated everything all the offerings and the gifts that he was given, actually, there would be no way to fit all of these things anywhere. So many things, but he didn't keep any of it. Everything that he had ever received, he just gave it basically away. So therefore, I really see him as the actual Milarepa. And so now I've told you a few things. Maybe I don't really know how to tell stories like that, and I hope that it has benefited you in some way. So if you think that it was of some benefit, then please keep those words. And if not, then you can just forget about them.
Okay, thank you. That's a joke. That's a new around the town in that.
But don't throw it away just yet, because today is your lesson and tomorrow will be your exam. Then he will test you. Abao Lama will test your knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Sanjo Samjo Rinpoche, Maje Bana Jipanya Bameba Gongne Gondon Bayo Dimbe Bajar Lama Shabe Dinzin Jugo Satanyon Dimbe Yimdang Atanjo Baja Dembayo Rene Batahi Shizakunse Kunshin Chuje Demre Nela Wanton de Gong Renjin Parja Dambasen Taba Shirab Tusangon Penzin George. Thank you everybody.
There's one announcement, and that is that tomorrow we're starting at 7:30 a.m. And on January 3rd in the afternoon, we will have a Tsewang Tsimpa practice together.
Okay, Belly.